Arthur the Aardvark wore his bright yellow hat and stood on the warm golden beach. The sun hung above like a big orange coin, shining over the waves. The water whispered secrets to the shore. "I'm going to build the tallest sandcastle ever," he said, feeling a fizz of excitement in his chest. Arthur scooped soft sand with his paws, the grains slipping between his fingers like tiny stars. He shaped a mound, patting it so it stayed firm. Bella, the white seagull, her blue scarf fluttering in the breeze, perched on a piece of driftwood nearby. "It's going to be huge," Arthur said, smiling as he worked. Sammy the grey squirrel came bounding over, his straight shirt bouncing with each step. He sniffed the salty air and grinned at Arthur's growing tower. "Need help, Arthur?" Sammy asked, tilting his head toward the mound. The castle grew taller, with walls like sleeping giants and a spire reaching for the clouds. Arthur hummed softly as he carved windows, picturing knights and dragons inside. Bella circled above, her shadow sliding across the sand. She called down tips on smoothing the walls, and Arthur listened, brushing the edges until they shone. Suddenly, a spring wind rushed in from the sea, roaring like a hungry lion. The spire trembled, then toppled, sending streams of sand tumbling down. The air filled with a hiss as grains scattered. Arthur's heart sank, watching the proud castle crumble into a shapeless hill beneath the shadow of the passing clouds. Bella landed beside Arthur, her eyes bright but gentle. "It's okay," she said, brushing sand from her wings. Sammy stepped close and placed a paw on Arthur's shoulder. "We can build it again, and maybe even bigger," he said. Arthur looked at the broken mound, feeling the sting fade just a little. Arthur looked at his friends, warmth rising in his chest despite the cool breeze. He took a deep breath and smiled slowly. "All right," he said. Together, they gathered sand in buckets, each scoop glistening like sugar under the sunlight. The sound of waves followed them, steady and calm as they worked side by side. They worked side by side, their shadows stretching over the sand. Bella smoothed walls with her beak, making them straight and strong. Sammy packed towers tight with his small paws, patting them flat. Arthur shaped bridges and arches, imagining them strong enough for a parade of crabs. The air smelled of seaweed and adventure. The castle rose higher than before, with tall towers dancing in the wind. Bella laughed as she placed tiny shells along the walls. Sammy dug a deep moat that filled with shimmering water from a nearby tide pool. Together, they stepped back to watch the sunlight paint the castle in warm, golden light. Arthur stepped back, tilting his yellow hat as he admired their work. The castle stood proud like a palace from a storybook, its walls glowing in the afternoon sun. "It's perfect," Arthur said, his voice full of pride. He felt the joy of building something strong and beautiful with the help of his friends. Bella's scarf fluttered like a bright flag as she invited them to peek inside. Sammy grinned and showed them the secret tunnels he had carved in the sand. Excited voices rose into the air, mixing with the steady sound of the waves. Soon, laughter and footsteps filled the sandy halls. They climbed towers and raced across the curved bridges. Arthur watched happily as the castle became alive with movement. The walls seemed to hum with joy, as if the sand itself had grown a heart. Bella and Sammy smiled, their eyes shining in the golden light. Arthur turned to Bella and Sammy, the waves clapping softly in the background. "We did it together," he said, his smile as wide as the horizon. Bella nodded, her scarf dancing in the breeze. Sammy grinned proudly, brushing sand from his shirt. The castle stood behind them, strong and bright in the afternoon sun. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky with pink and gold, the three friends sat beside their castle. The wind was gentle now, carrying the sound of happy voices. Arthur knew they had built more than a castle. They had built a memory, warm and golden, to share and keep forever in their hearts. Arthur smiled and snuggled into bed, thinking of their big castle. He knew dreams were even brighter when friends helped build them.